good, people? Back at it. It is Wednesday, November 12th. Yeah, Eagles, they won 10-7 against the Packers, but what else is new? Before I get into it, I am your main host, Gen Music 856. This is my co-host, or you could say the other main host, Ryan from Ryan Sportscast. How you
Yes,
feeling, man?
sir. I'm feeling good, man.
First off, did I get the name right? I want to make sure I got the name right.
Oh, you definitely got the name right.
Ryan Sportscast, correct?
Yep.
My man. Okay. I gotta make sure everything's copacetic. That's all.
Oh, yeah. I respect that.
But we're here to talk about the birds, man. And we're gonna get into the Sixers too. We gotta talk about that game last night. But with the Eagles, the big game Monday night, Eagles Packers. Everybody said what was gonna happen coming out of the bye week. 10-7 win. This was an old school game from the early 2000s, late 90s, where you don't have a lot of points. But listen, before we get into the game, the running meme was that the Raiders and the Broncos game was trash. It was booty juice. Okay. On Thursday night, it was horrible. Barely any points were scored, barely any yards were had. However, people were saying that, hey, if you saw that game, wait until you see the Eagles and the Packers because it was worse. I didn't see it that way. I thought that both defenses were lights out.
Yeah.
And could the offenses have played better? Sure. But this was a defensive game. People are so far removed from seeing great defensive game game planning and a chess match, if you will, that they don't look at a defensive game that's 7-7 with a lot of high level chess moves as exciting. Because to me, the dagger, and this is a good segue to Smitty, that that happened as a result of finally cracking the code for one instant against a very, very top notch defense. Let me know what you think about that game, man.
It was very I actually this was actually one of the more enjoyable defensive games that I've watched probably in a long time, truthfully. Um just seeing it live time, man, I thought the play calling was as we've been talking about all years, but I feel like there was like five maybe calls all game, like the same plays, like all game. I felt like the defense was, tell you what, man, adding Jaelan Phillips, man, he is on a whole nother, like he add a whole another level of juice on that defensive line, man. He just looked, like he just looked really excited to be out there. Well, just his his pass for the game, just to, he had like seven, I think it was seven pressures, like two tackles for lost. He forced a fumble. Just, Howie, man, I tell you, doing this thing again, getting that guy, Jaden Phillips, he just balled out, man. The defense, defense looked even better. Like, how could you not be happy with that? Because that opens so many more opportunities for everybody else. Like, look at Jalen Hunt. He benefited from it. He's
Right.
been actually kind of hot these past couple of games, too.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just like you can't help but be excited. I mean, look at, Jalen Carter. Again, he had another dominant performance, had a tip ball. He's always, back there near the quarterback. So yeah, they boys are flying around out there, but I just really think they still got a little bit to clean up on offense. But I got a question for you, Stan.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though their struggles on offense were due to their play calling, or more so it was just a defensive game, and that's how the game was going?
That's a very good question, and I think it's a little bit of both. A little
Hmm.
bit of both. I think that Packers defense has transformed ever since they traded for Micah Parsons. They've been a
Hmm.
completely different defense, and they get after people. There's a reason why they're at where they're at, and we knocked them out of the top spot in the NFC North. So now I believe the Lions are ahead of them. They're 5-3-1, and the Lions are 6-3. So
Hmm.
I look at that defense and say Micah Part. There was one play where Jalen was scrambling out to the right, and normally he's able to get to that edge, not with Micah there. So like these
Hmm.
little things that change the thing what you can get away with and what you can't.
Hmm.
But that being said, the running theme is what is going on with the play calling by Kevin Patullo. That's the
Hmm.
running theme. And at a certain point, we have to get real. And I've been trying to be very lenient because anybody who's watched my podcast knows that I've been hypercritical of both Nick Sirianni and the offensive coordinators he's had, starting with Brian Johnson, right? We had to go
Hmm.
through that whole debacle. And now
Right.
fast forward to having Kellen Moore, who was actually a competent offensive coordinator,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
then unfortunately you're not able to retain him. He goes to finally get his big shot with the Saints, and then you have to restart with Kevin Patullo. You would think that an internal hire would already have the playbook, know all the plays, the tendencies, the things you like to do, and just pick up where you left off. Apparently, that's
Right.
not fucking true because you see the main complaints we have every week. Running the ball up the middle is not inherently wrong, but situationally out of touch. Um, Running it to the point that you're predictable on first down, that you're going to run an inside zone up the middle on first down. It doesn't matter who's in the backfield. If I know that it's coming, there's no wonder why if on a couple of plays, and you don't even need to have the all 22 footage to see the strong safety or free safety coming down into the box with 5 seconds left on the play clock because he's anticipating it's going to be a run play and blowing it up in the backfield. There's nothing anybody can do back there. It could be Barry Sanders or Saquon Barkley or Jim Brown. You're going to get your head knocked off. Like
Hmm.
it's simple physics.
Yeah.
And this is what we talk about when we mention positioning, where guys are at on the field and angles. If I have a guy in
Hmm.
a certain position, I don't have to take a very difficult angle to be able to make a good or spectacular play. But if I'm in a bad position, now all of a sudden I have to take the perfect angle to get to that spot, or I have to try to be a superhero and take an angle that's high risk that may put me at risk for being out of position, whiffing on a tackle, so on and so forth. So it's like, how do these teams know exactly how to time our plays, where the run is going, because they've seen it over and over again. It's not rocket science. And at a certain
Yeah.
point, you have to look to who you're going to hold accountable for that. And that's
Yeah.
not necessarily meaning people have to be fired. However, if you show week after week after week after week that you are stubborn or resistant to change, then it's going to be hard to defend your decision making at a certain point.
Yeah.
So,
Just like the
yeah.
You know, just like the fourth down call. It's just like Nick Sirianni is not regretting that. Like, I don't know how you feel about it, but I thought that fourth down call was foolish. I felt like you should have either kicked the field goal or if you felt like you couldn't make the field goal because of the cold, the way the wind was blowing, then just punt the ball because they were not moving the ball all damn game. So what's going to change that? And you're giving them a shot when you're going for it on fourth down to make that field goal. And I don't know about you, Stan, but I feel as though even when going for it on fourth down, throwing that ball to AJ, I felt like that effort was very lackluster.
I'll do you one better. And there was a report that came out that said that it may not have been Sirianni or Patullo's call. That may have been Jalen Hurts
Okay.
and Brown going rogue again.
Okay.
So two scenarios. One, if the coach called that play call, I agree, is boneheaded. Why would you do that?
Hmm.
When you run the clock down below 1 minute, why would you not just kick the ball 20 or 30 yards and put them in a spot in the field where it's almost like a desperation attempt to even get to midfield for a Hail Mary, let alone a field goal?
Hmm.
And then alternatively, if it was Jalen Hurts and or AJ Brown's call, then why do they feel so compelled to go rogue? Most likely because they see the same things that we're seeing. They don't trust your play calling, man. It's when the obvious is in front of you. And I'm not necessarily talking about running the ball on first down. Let's even just go to the route concepts. It just seems as though whether it's a certain formation or a certain down and distance, they are predictable in what they're going to decide to do to the point that it's
Hmm.
laughable,
Hmm.
right? So, I mean, you look at players on the other side of the ball. Let's even take the Packers, for example. Let's not absolve the Packers of how bad they looked on offense. And I was scouting them leading into this week. I looked at I don't know who they played the week before or the past couple weeks, but you look at Jordan Love, a lot of his passes are at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. Everything
Hmm.
is horizontal, what kind of like the criticism we used to have about Chip Kelly's offense in the NFL. Like, why are you going sideline to sideline without really pressing deep to at least make the defense respect you?
Yeah.
And when you look at this Packers offense, Josh Jacobs said even on the last play of the game, he said the defensive players for the Eagles were calling out our plays before we ran them. Right?
Hmm.
So it's not just us, right? And the Packers
Yeah.
are a good team. The Packers, maybe in a certain sense, maybe have some of the same issues we have. Why are they so predictable that we were able to call out their calls and vice versa? We've had teams doing the same things to us. So
Hmm.
when the obvious is in front of you, there's a reason why they're going to have a tough time surpassing the Lions because, like him or hate him, Dan Campbell will adjust to the situation. He will not keep doing the same thing, beating the same drum, and expecting a different result. He will change. He may not know how to change in the moment, but he will find out at some point and make the change. He won't keep doing the same thing and repeating it.
Oh, for
And
sure.
so you look at the Packers, they're having some of the same issues the Eagles are on offense. And if anything, they're much worse. Not
Hmm.
just because of the injuries. Yeah, we know they have no wide receivers. We get that. But even when they had Wicks in there, when they had Reed in there, along with a healthy Christian Watson, they still struggled because for one reason or another, the play calling, they were just hard headed. I don't know what it is with LaFleur at times, but he's hard headed in a
Hmm.
similar way as it would seem that Sirianni and or the offensive coordinator is hard headed.
Hmm.
So you have Jordan Love, and people were saying, "Oh, he mid." He not mid. That dude's a good quarterback. But I'll
Hmm.
tell you, the play calling as well as the lack of personnel is killing that dude's confidence, and he just looks lost back there. I was saying on the last drive, people were like, "Oh." My uncle was looking at the last drive and saying, "Man, I hope the defense steps up." And me, just looking at it objectively, putting my fandom to the side, I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at this quarterback. I'm like, he don't know what's going on. They're not coming back down the field. He don't know left from right. You just look at him in the pocket. He's waiting till the last second and chucking it up because he's not even seeing the defense. They're getting pressure on this dude so fast, whether it's due to them just being better on the defensive line and or knowing exactly what formations they're coming out in. They're on his ass, man. He
Hmm.
ain't gonna come back. If he do, congrats, because he looks flustered.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get a little blinded to the fact that other teams have some of the same, if not somewhat similar struggles as we have. We get tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Every team has that. The Packers, they see all their flaws, they see none of the Eagles' flaws. Everybody on
Hmm.
WIP, they see all the Eagles' flaws, none of the Packers' flaws, none of the Lions' flaws. It's just human nature. But
Yeah.
this team, they're going to have to change their approach just strictly with the play calling. On
Yeah.
first down, when you first off, let's get up to the line of scrimmage with more than 10 seconds on the play clock. Let's do that
Hmm.
more consistently because then you can look at the defense and see exactly what they're doing. You can make a audible, they make their adjustment, and then you have enough time to counter their adjustment.
Hmm.
There's all the like you get up there with 10 seconds, they if they know your play, you're cooked. If you make an adjustment under 10 seconds and they've seen a lot of the formations you like to run, they'll make their counter adjustment and now you can't even counter back. And now you're snapping the ball with 2 seconds and you have a safety who's already crept up 5 or 10 yards, about to get into a full sprint to blow Barkley up in the backfield. It's not really that difficult. However, I will say this much. I don't think that any of these coaches should be fired, but I do think that, like I said before, it's a here. When you do not explain what you're doing, then it's difficult for us and others not to speculate why you're failing. If you
Hmm.
don't distinctly point out what you're doing and why you do it, then you open yourself up to everybody to speculate and make up things, true or untrue, about what you're doing and why you're failing at it.
Hmm.
That's all I can say about that one.
Yeah, that's very well said there, man.
So if I'm wrong, okay, how about you fucking do something different and fix it? Or at least explain to me why I'm wrong. Because otherwise, it just
Hmm.
seems as though there's obvious things you should be changing that you don't have to have a pedigree with football to know. You can just turn the TV on and just see this person's out of position. You're running the same play every time when it's first and 10 or every time when it's second and 8. That has nothing to do with how long you've been coaching or how long you've been playing at the pee wee level or high school or college level. It's common sense.
Yeah, it's very simple to figure out. Like they need to go back to the drawing board and look at why they were so successful against the Giants and the Vikings. Because those 2 weeks, I was listening to WIP and they were saying, I forget his name. I think is the Cam, but he was
Gilio or
this
the
big.
camera? Gilio or the camera?
The camera. He was saying that he thinks the offense has gotten it together, and he thinks it's more so that the Packers just had a good game. Packers just had a good defensive game plan, and he feels as though that they've gotten it together on offense, and it was just the way the game went. But I mean, I totally disagree. I just think they're inconsistent on the offensive side of the ball, which is another thing that we want to talk about is to the reason why AJ Brown is so damn frustrated.
Yeah, and I completely disagree with Joe. And with all due respect, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about because he seems like
Yeah,
somebody who never played sports.
yeah, I agree.
Even to take on AJ Brown today, when I was listening to the radio, he was going back and forth with Hugh Douglas, and he was debating with Hugh. Hugh was not concerned about the AJ Brown situation the way that Joe Giglio is. And it just really stood out to me, not just because he was an athlete and he was a high level, not just any athlete, he was a top level pass rusher. People do how quickly people forget what Hugh Douglas and who he was.
Yeah,
Right? Hugh Douglas was with the Jets, great pass rusher off the edge, and then came to the Eagles and was Jim Johnson's chess piece.
yeah, for sure.
And he had to deal with the T.O. McNabb drama.
Hmm.
If anything, he would know. He went
Yeah,
through that, right? Jalen and AJ Brown are not McNabb and T.O. This is not even close to that situation, even though they're
no,
friction. And I think what Joe doesn't understand is how the fuck do you think the play calling is fine? Like, what are you looking at? That makes me question your football knowledge off rip.
yeah, me too.
And secondly, you speak as somebody, you sound like somebody who who's not played any organized sport at a semi or high level at any level, whether you're a little kid, high school, or college.
Hmm.
Obviously, the game is more difficult at the college level than at the pee wee level, but there are certain things that don't play. It's a child's game at the end of the day.
Yeah,
There's certain things that are and aren't. The speed changes how things play out, but beyond that, the game is the same. But like he speaks as somebody who doesn't understand locker dynamics.
yeah,
People are not as upset about these things inside the locker room as he probably thinks they are. And
right.
a lot, and to be truth be told, I, I would not, I'm just speculating. A lot of those guys are probably pissed off in the same way AJ is for the same reasons about the offense, which is why they're
Hmm.
not saying anything because they're saying the same thing. They're like, how does he have two? Well, he had two catches on maybe four targets in the first half, and he had no targets in the second half or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's inexcusable.
yeah,
Like,
man. It's
what is
AJ
so
Brown.
hard to understand about that? Like, even I'm gonna be facetious for a second, but it's not necessarily about throwing him the ball, even if it's incomplete every play. It's one, the threat of it, and two, if you throw it to him, the odds are he's gonna come down with the ball more often than not, even if he looks like he's covered. So it's the frustration knowing that I can affect the game, and there are points in time where it's second and 8, and we're running the ball, or it's 3rd and 8 and we're doing a dump off to Shipley or Saquon for 5 yards out of the backfield instead of at least just throwing the fucking ball to the sticks. Are you serious? What?
Man, it's not hard.
Just throw an out route. I don't even care if the cornerback knocks the ball down. Just make them at least think that it's going to come their way.
Yeah,
What?
it's
It's the
not hard.
equivalent of a boxer who throws all hooks but no jabs. You
Exactly.
could throw hooks like Mike Tyson, but if I know you're not going to throw a jab, you make it infinitely easier for me to defend against you.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be as respectful as possible because um I think Joe Giglio is a very knowledgeable guy, but this is what happens when nerds get into sports and they don't really know what the fuck they're talking about. You never played a sport and you don't understand. You see a guy get hit out of bounds. You're like, he can't keep taking hits. It's like, no, I didn't get hit that hard. It's not the same as Carson Wentz getting hit at the goal line against the Rams. That's a hit. Hits like
Yeah.
that take you out, not hits like Russell Wilson's is getting on the sideline when he's playing with the Seahawks, where he's just getting quote unquote love tapped hard. It looks hard to you, but for the player, they're like, okay, next play. Like
Right.
these people don't understand physicality.
Yeah, for sure.
That being said, I just don't I, I'm I don't like I think AJ Brown is being immature, and I think
Yeah.
that's a growth lesson, even though he's justified in my opinion and how he
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah.
But to say that but to try to undermine him as if he's not stating the obvious or making a good point or stop it, man. We can all see just like AJ said in that interview. He said, "Yo, when it comes down to crunch time, it's not gonna effing excuse me, not gonna work." That's what he said.
Yeah.
He cursed. He said the F bomb and then he cut it out because he's saying what we all know. When it gets to the playoffs, yeah, we got that ring last year, which he said, and thank you for that. But if we don't change up stuff this year, it's not going to work. It's obvious,
Yeah.
right? And
100%, man.
it's not being overly dramatic. It's just stating the obvious. Yeah, what we did last year, it worked. But even last year, at a certain point, we would not have gotten to that Super Bowl if we did not make the adjustments that we were screaming for
Hmm.
going up to week 4 past that Jaguars game. Let's not forget that. People want to have selective memory. Yeah, no, the same issues. I think Sirianni is a great leader of men, and he's able to organize people who otherwise wouldn't necessarily get along and get them all in the same direction. I think that's probably his greatest superpower. Kind of like a
Okay.
Vince Lombardi. However,
Hmm.
schematically, if he doesn't know what he's doing, he does not have the proper personnel with his offensive coordinator to get away with it. And if he does know what he's doing, then he needs to take the reins and say, "Hey, I know I gave you the job, but I need to make sure that we get this ring. No disrespect, but I chose wrong. Swallow my ego, and I'm going to take over the play calling." If you can't do that, then explain why you can't.
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. 100%, man. I
If you
agree.
can't explain why you can't, then don't get
Uh,
upset when the criticism comes week after week because it's not going to go away. It's
yeah.
obvious that something needs to change, and people have their opinions on what needs to change. But if you're going to act like you don't acknowledge it or you don't know why people keep bringing up the same thing week after week, don't insult our intelligence.
Exactly. Because you're not going to go in a game like this and going up against the Lions on Sunday Night Football and beat the Lions. It's just not going to happen. Because I guarantee you, they do the same shit. Pardon my language. They do the same stuff they do against the Packers. I could see this game becoming a blowout because the defense is going to get so tired of being on the field. They're just going to score it well. And let's not forget, I think we have a weakness, and that's our run defense. And that's definitely going to be a huge problem for us going up against this team if, they don't, because they're really going to figure us out. Like, I think if we do not change by this game, this is a very important game to change at. And if you're not going to change here, then it's going to get ugly from here on out.
I think they've somewhat covered up the run defense, and hopefully it will get better because I think one of
Yeah,
the missing links was N'Kobe Dean.
yeah,
Ever since he's been back, the run defense has been very, very
been
good.
better. Yeah,
And not just the run defense. Look at when he hit Jordan Love and forced that fumble. He is a playmaker, impact
he's
player.
a dog, man.
Yeah. And he makes sure he seems like he makes sure everybody is where they're supposed to be and where they're supposed to be going.
Yeah,
And he's 3 steps ahead of everybody on the field, including his own teammates at times, it seems.
right.
So a guy like that is indispensable
Oh yeah.
for the run game at least. The pass game, people can have that's a different story. But run game wise, him and Jordan Davis are the linchpins for that run defense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it's good too, and then it's good we got Jaelan Phillips. I mean, I think that will really help, and just I mean, having that. I mean, Kobe Dean is a difference maker. When healthy, he is probably one of the best linebackers in the league, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I think this is a good time to segue over to Jaelan Phillips and talk about the things he's done. So, like I said before, I think it's a very good time to segue over into talking about Jaelan Phillips and the things he's done for this defense in a very short amount of time. He's just got here from Miami, and like he said, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to him in his life. And he played like it. He had
Hmm.
pressure after pressure after pressure. He had a fumble recovery. He was an impact player on the field. And as we mentioned in our last podcast, him and Nolan Smith can be a very, very scary duo at full strength. That was my feeling. And I want to know what you think about that after seeing what you saw against the Packers.
I mean, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, how much of an impact he had. You saw everybody else flying around the ball too, like Nolan Smith. You saw him getting pressure. I feel like it just opens up so much for everybody else because it makes that defense that much better. You have to take account to that type of player. You're double teaming probably most of the time. If there's a player I'm thinking you're double teaming, is Jalen Carter. You can't double team a Jaelan Phillips. You're getting him most of the time one. He's an edge guy, so you're getting him one on one, and you better bring your best because you better be damn sure you're going to get his best because that dude's a dog and he's strong and I think he's going to make a huge impact and adding Brandon Graham with him too. I mean, tell you this defense is I think it's going to be much improved after that. I mean, we already saw it on Monday, so going forward, it's definitely going to be a huge help.
Yeah, we knew what to expect, and like I said before, he had one of his best seasons under Vic Fangio. So that third year, he had 6.5 sacks in about 8 games, which is a freakish pace.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, almost a sack a game, which over the course of 17 games, you do the math.
Mm-hmm.
And he, and in my mind, he's not even, I could be wrong, even though he may not feel this way, he's probably not fully healthy from that ACL tear he had last year. So
Mm-hmm.
mind you, he had the Achilles injury in 2023 after going being on fire with that 6.5 sack season, and then he had the ACL injury as well. So he had 3 sacks this year coming into the trade to Philly. He's only going to get healthier. He's only going to get healthier.
Exactly.
And I think when he gets healthy, you're going to see more of the burst, more of the quickness to the ball, even more so than what you saw in this game against the
Mm-hmm.
Packers, no less. So, and then as Nolan Smith works his way back into form, I think that duo, a power rusher on the right side of the offense, if you will, from the offense's point of view, and then
Mm-hmm.
a speed rusher like Nolan Smith on the left side of the offense, and then you can flip flop them if you want to. That's going to really cause a schematic issue offensively as to how you're going to have your protection set up. Because now you can't have one-on-ones for either one of these guys on the edge. Now you're gonna have to start figuring out, do we double Nolan Smith or do we double Jalen Carter or do we double Jaelan Phillips? Now that changes everything on the back end too.
Mhm.
So now you're having the Kobe Dean back as if you needed him on top of what you have right now. And now you have Jair Alexander. Is he going to retire? Is he going to go off into to chill out for a while to get his head straight? Who knows? But even if you have a Dory Jackson back there in Ringo, the fact that you're able to get pressure now you can deal with the mistakes that they're going to make from time to time and get away with it. Whereas if you didn't get a pass rush, you get what you get.
Exactly, and it's only going to make when you have a pass rush like that, it only makes that secondary that much better. And because when you disrupt the timing, then that's a huge factor.
Exactly, exactly. And I really like the fact that he was able to set the edge on the run game too. That was huge.
Oh, for
He's an
sure.
all around really good player. I think it's a steal. If regardless of whether you can keep him or not, you're going to probably get the third round pick back that you paid for him. So it's a wash, and you're pretty much you got an upgrade for free.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, how we doing Howie things, man?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So overall, 10-7 win. I thought it was a good, solid, grinded out, hard game. Just like when I used to look at the Ravens of the early 2000s with Ray Lewis and Jamie Sharper, even before Ed Reed, those defenses, you would see games 10-3 on CBS. Maybe they're playing the Steelers and it's 10-3 or 17-10. Like a very low scoring game, but it was a high level chess match. It wasn't like two teams that are destitute that are making mistakes every other play, and that's why the score is 0-0. No, it's two high level teams that are looking to create that one mistake out of their opponent. So to me, this was actually an enjoyable game, even though it's not it's an acquired taste. I'll put it like that.
Yeah,
Before, back in the day, people, not saying that everybody liked this style of play, but um people that like uh people that like boxing where you sit in the pocket and you have a high level chess match where guys are landing shots, not like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, but very high level, intelligent punches and exchanges. That's what these type of games are like.
yeah,
It's not sloppy because they're not thinking about what punches are being thrown back or what wh- what plays the opponent is calling, and it's not bad because both teams have no talent. It's just a low scoring game because you have two dogs that are trying to one up each other, and they're both extremely good.
yeah. And honestly, I don't think we win that game without Jalen Phillips.
No, I agree. We don't.
Yeah,
We don't. He has such an impact, man. And is this a preview of the NFC Championship game? Maybe. We don't know, but it certainly seemed that way from my vantage point with the way these two teams played because if you take either one of these teams and put another team across from them, the score is higher than this.
yeah, for
The
sure.
Eagles have 20 to 24 points. The Packers have 20 to 27 points against a lesser team. It's a completely different ball game. But against two evenly matched teams, come on, Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, in my opinion, are two of the top five running backs in the league. People
100%.
forget who Josh Jacobs is, even though he's an absolute monster. He
Yeah,
has 11 touchdowns this season, just in case people didn't know.
that's crazy.
And we're not we're only at week 10. He has 11 touchdowns. I'll reiterate that. 11 touchdowns. How many did he have the other day?
I think he had one, didn't he? Yeah, one touchdown.
Yeah. But beyond that, what else did he do all game?
Not much.
You look at his stat line. I'm going to look it up right now. Um, 21 rushes for 74 yards and a touchdown, 3.5 yards a carry. His longest run was 11 yards. So no 20-yard runs, no 30-yard runs, no getting into the open field and running people over. No, every yard was earned. It was tough.
Yeah,
Saquon had 2.7 yards to carry, 22 carries, 60 yards. versus 21 carries, 74 yards. Not a huge difference besides a touchdown. This is just one of those games where you have to give you have to give credit to the teams where credit is due. So
Yeah,
that's the way I saw it. And we have a big game next week, prime time again, Sunday night against the Lions. And
yeah,
this is where the schedule gets down to it. We get down
yeah,
into the trenches. Now we will see. Because like I mentioned before, and I gave some praise to Dan Campbell, when you don't make the adjustments, um, and you keep doing the same things over and over again, can you get away with that against the Lions? We'll find out.
yeah. We will. I don't think you can. Truthfully,
No, they're not injured like they were last year in the playoffs. They are a mostly healthy version of what they were.
yeah,
So prepare. If you don't make the adjustments, it may not go your way this week.
yep.
So, that's my thoughts on that. Any other thoughts you have on the Eagles?
That's pretty much it, man.
I want to quickly, before we segue, let us know in the comments what you think about the Eagles game, the improvements to be made. What do you think about the play calling? Are you concerned about the AJ Brown situation, if it's a situation to you? And let's segue over to the Sixers. Big win over the Celtics last night. Again, down to the wire, just like they had in the first game against them this year. And VJ Edgecombe, listen, man, listen, bro. He had a block on Jaylen Brown, and I told people about his athleticism, but it's not just the athleticism; it's the IQ that goes along with it.
Hmm.
I don't know if I've ever seen Jaylen Brown get blocked at the rim like he did last night against VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah, that's wild, man. He has such a high IQ for the game. It doesn't surprise me, but I mean to do that against one of those kind of players in the league says a lot.
Yeah, and they were able to get the win against Boston without Embiid in there. So Jason Tatum out, Embiid out, and the Sixers under Maxey's stewardship looked like they had answers when in years past they may have turned the ball over in a critical moment in the fourth quarter, not being able to inbound the ball, not getting offensive rebound, silly shit.
Yeah.
That didn't happen last night.
Hmm.
And after that block, Edgecombe came down the court and dished it off to homeboy, and I apologize, I don't know his name, who was on fire all night. And he hit a three to really, in my opinion, take the wind out of the sails of the Celtics at that point.
Hmm.
The game wasn't over, but it felt like one of those moments where we made the shot that decided the game, and everybody felt it in the arena.
Hmm.
And I, look, I love Maxi is going to be an MVP candidate, just like Christopher Sanchez was a Cy Young candidate for the Phillies this year. Runner up did not get the Cy Young, but still, he's going to be in that discussion in terms of basketball. Who's stopping him right now? He's able to get to his spots, hit his shots. Most teams can't do anything about it, even though they know it's coming.
Yeah.
And then you have VJ Edgecombe. He's not playing like a rookie. And defensively, he's everywhere, including
Yeah.
the block. He's getting in the passing lanes. He's getting his hand on the ball. When you have guys like Jaylen Brown going to the rim in a critical moment in the fourth quarter, he not
Right.
only doesn't shy down, but he gets the block and then gets the ball and goes down in transition and gets an assist to make a play. I mean, that's something we have not had for a very long time.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And he's only getting better. He's just starting.
Right.
I don't know if it was WIP or a Reddit post or whatever it was, but they were pointing out, oh, well, he's cool. Oh no, it was WIP. WIP. And maybe this might be a mini rant, but they were talking about, Edgecombe, he's kind of cooled off since the first game or first few games, and is he coming back down to earth? And he's a rookie. Like, it's either an over exaggeration or an underestimation. Um it if they're trying to make a talking point out of that to draw listeners in, I understand it, but this is Philly. We understand sports. We're not like LA fans where we show up at an hour after the game starts and leave like an hour before it ends. Like we don't know what's going on. And then when you ask us, we're like, "Oh, they played today?" No, we're not those type of fans. We know exactly what's going on in terms of football, basketball, baseball. We understand the game and how it's played. So when people do
Right.
shit and we call them out on it, it's not just because they didn't hit the ball for a home run or they didn't hit a shot. It's because we're mad at why they didn't do that. What were you not doing schematically for that to happen? So, you look at the Sixers and it's like he's a rookie. Of course he's not going to play. He's not going to drop 34 a night. Are you fucking brain dead? Like why are you trying
Yeah.
same thing with AJ Brown. It's just like why are you guys trying to make stories out of things that there may be an issue there, but it's not nearly as big as you are making it, and you're overblowing it to the point that now the coaches and the players have to address something that they didn't even make a big deal about that you are. Like, and look, maybe I'm passionate about this, but not the Ike Reeses of the world, not the Hugh Douglases of the world, not the John Richies of the world, the weasels on the station that never played sports. Those guys, the guys that don't have an athletic bone in their body, that have everything to say about everybody else, but don't know what the fuck they're talking about because they never played sports at a semi high level, even as a kid. Like, I'm listening to you talk. You, I could tell you never played. You look
Yeah.
like this guy. Like, how is he able to? How's he have that much burst to get to that spot? Yeah, you don't understand because you never had the athletic ability.
Yeah.
Or you look at the guy who's able to do that and wonder how they're able to do it because you've never been that guy.
Yeah.
And then you still carry that attitude now as a sportscaster and you criticize certain mistakes guys do or a certain play they may try to go towards, but you don't understand how they see it as an athlete because you've never been in those shoes.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you have these strong opinions about what these guys are doing on the field and what they're saying off the field.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can just tell you, being even playing high school baseball, did we get along all the time? Of course not. Did we have games where we're looking at other guys and saying, damn, you should have been in that spot on that double play. How'd you miss that? Yeah, but we're not internalizing it or making it a big deal the way that these guys are. Like we have those discussions inside the locker room and they stay inside the locker room.
Yeah.
So things that get out to the media, if you have a guy that's disgruntled, oh, trust and believe those conversations are being had behind closed doors. Oh, you said that? Nah, 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 nah. Keep that inside, homeboy. Homeboy, let's talk about it. But the way these media outlets blow things out of proportion is getting tiresome. And it's the reason why podcasts like Shannon Sharp and Ocho have become so big, or Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk, because they played the game, they understand how it's played, they have the charisma to still talk about it on a sports show, and they're not gonna take very mild to moderate situations and blow them out of proportion like guys who just have never played organized sports or been accepted at any level in their life to understand how athletes operate. Like, no,
100%.
it,
Yeah.
it, it maybe that's a rant, but it's annoying, and you have to see guys like AJ Brown and Smitty and Jalen try to say, no, we don't have no problems because they're trying to kill a narrative that somebody in Philly started. Now, is it fair to say that AJ is um is is going on Twitter and social media and playing, Madden online with Jakey Rondo and whoever and and bringing bad press to the team because he's not selective with his words? Sure, but I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right? Just because you don't like the way the message is being said, that's a fair criticism. But if you disagree with the message, maybe you may not know a lot about as much about the sport as you think you do.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't AJ Brown be upset? I'd be upset if I was AJ Brown. Like, I'm I'm one of the best receivers in the league. Me and Smitty are number one receivers on any team, and yet I'm getting less than 7 targets a game. What sense does that make?
Yeah, no,
Right?
man.
Even if you're winning, right? Because when the competition level gets higher, you're not going to get away with that shit.
Hell no.
That's why you're so angry about it. It's not that you hate your teammates or you're trying to throw them under the bus. It's just that I see it just like other players on the team see it that aren't saying anything as vocally as I am, which is probably why his teammates ain't getting on him because there's 5, 10, 15 other guys that are thinking the same thing.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that's
There's a reason why Jordan Mailata and them had to pull what Sirianni and them to the side last year and say, run the fucking ball.
yeah.
Right? But we were all of us were saying that, right? You think
Hmm.
Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson, you think they didn't see that or Cam Jurgens, you think they didn't see that? That's why they went to the coach. That's why that came out in the media, right?
Hmm.
You think that when Brandon Graham talked about the disgruntlement in the locker room last year, and that became a whole big thing, right?
Hmm.
You think that other players weren't thinking the same thing? It's just that Brandon Graham was, it got to a point where maybe Brandon Graham, I'm not speaking for him, felt like if I don't say something, maybe the coaching will not change. Maybe shaking this up by putting out something to media will shake these guys up enough to say that, you know what, how about we just make these slight, minor, very obvious adjustments? And how about since you won't listen to us, how about we put it out in the media and since you don't want to answer to them because you know what you're doing is dumb as shit, you'll actually change.
Yeah, 100%.
But yet we're haters and we didn't believe in Sirianni. What the fuck are y'all talking about, man? So, two things can be true at the same time. Just because you were fucking up earlier in the season doesn't mean you can't change and get better late in the season. But conversely, just because you changed and got better late in the season on our way to getting to a Super Bowl doesn't mean that if you did not fix the issues that you were doing early on, that you would have gotten to that point. No, you would have been stuck in first gear just like you were going up into that through that Jaguars game. And maybe you would have never made that breakthrough,
Right.
a breakthrough that did not require that big of an adjustment.
Yeah. And you're going to have to make these adjustments a lot sooner because guess what? We're playing a lot of playoff teams
Sure,
because like last year.
sure. And a lot of these national pundits are talking about, oh, well, they won a Super Bowl, so they earned, you know, the benefit of the doubt to not be questioned or at least have a buffer zone where you allow them to get some. I'll tell you what, I think maybe it's because I'm in combat sports. I don't care if you're 50 and 0 and you won every fight and you had 48 knockouts. If you do not prepare for this next opponent properly and they are prepared for you, your record means dick. You're going to get
Yeah.
knocked the fuck out if you don't make the adjustments,
100%.
right? Or if you've been making the same mistake the past 5 fights and you just got away with it because the guys that you were fighting did not have the acumen to be able to exploit that, that doesn't mean you're going to get away with it against an A+ fighter.
100%.
But leading up to that, if you were to make that criticism, people would be like, he's 50 and no. Shut up. You never box. What do you know? And then when they get knocked out, where are they at now? Crickets. Nowhere
Exactly.
to be found.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
So when we caved against when we went 10 and 1 with the same criticisms we had, nothing changed. Now all of a sudden the same people that were telling people to shut up because they were 10 and 1, nowhere to be found by the time they get blown out against Tampa Bay, right? Or maybe my memory's wrong.
Hey, you're not wrong.
Hey, that's what we saying. So we're in a good spot. We have a great team. Um, and although a lot of the things I'm saying may sound like I'm talking junk, I'm really not. It's the frustration from me and you is because not everything is simple, not everything is black and white, but some of the changes they can make are very, very elementary.
Yeah. Very simple.
Yeah. So listen, it's the same frustrations we had with the Phillies, with the leadoff hitter being Kyle Schwarber. It's like if he gets on base, he's useless. He's not driving in RBI because there's nobody in front of him. Sorry, Bryson Stott and Sosa, no disrespect. Um, Mars, Sosa, they're not getting on base in those eight in that 7, 8, 9 slot. Johan Rojas and him neither. So what difference does it make if Kyle Schwarber puts up 40 home runs in the season? Come playoff time, one, you're facing better pitching every 2 to 3 starts, and two, they're not going to give you the same pitches in the same spot. So good luck getting a home run, and if you do, you ain't putting more than one run on the board, right? It's like, but when we say it, they say shut up. Kyle Schwarber has 40, 50 home runs. When we get to the playoffs, crickets. When they go cold, crickets. Because the answers were there early in the season. You just ain't want to hear them.
Hmm.
When you hitting home runs against trying to think of butt ass teams that have no pitching. The Athletics.
Hmm.
Okay, you put up three home run game against the Athletics. Not saying he did, but just hypothetically. Okay, cool. He's not going to do that against the Mets in the playoffs, a la 2024. Because every two starts, you're getting a great starter versus every two starts, you're getting a dude that probably shouldn't be in the MLB.
Yeah,
The
100%.
details. Somehow we gloss over these things.
Yeah, definitely.
So, um, was that enough of a rant for you?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I like it though.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. These things need to be said. Because
Yeah,
I have some of the same, I have the same mindset with any sport.
yeah.
Which brings me to I want to end off with boxing. There was a fight. I'm going to clip up this portion of the podcast between Virgil Ortiz and Erickson Lubin. Erickson Erickson. I always get his name wrong. Always been a fringe contender, right on the edge of getting a title at 154, and just had some tough losses. He had the tough loss to Sebastian Fundora, brutal fight. Got stopped in that fight, but it was a back and forth affair. Like he was beating the shit out of Fundora, and Fundora was beating the shit out of him. It was like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and he just came out on the bad end of it at the end of it. But if Fundora caved first, it could have easily been Lubin who got the belt there. And he had another tough fight that he lost, a stoppage. And going into this fight against Ortiz, you had to wonder, have you made any changes in your team? Any tactical changes? And the answer would be no. So
Mhm.
what made you think you were going to get a different outcome going to a fight that you needed to win at this point in your career against a very, very good opponent in Virgil Ortiz with a lot of power?
Mhm.
What happened was he went in there and round one was back and forth at times. It was cool, but near the end, Virgil started to land some things, and then going into round two, he stopped him in round two.
Right.
Referee had to jump in and stop the fight. So it's like rewind back a year or two back. Did you make changes based off
Mhm.
of your losses?
Right.
Right. These are the things that we talk about. These are the things we talk about, man. Basketball. I mean, at a certain point, you have to look at Doc Rivers at every stop he's been at. The Clippers,
Mhm.
where you gave up a 3-1 lead in the I don't know if it was the Eastern Conference Finals or the round right before that. And he's done this multiple times, I think, at least one or two times. And then it happened again with the Sixers with James Harden and Embiid. So at a certain point, you look at him doing some of the same things with the Sixers as he was doing play calling wise with the Celtics after the championship and the Clippers, like the inability to be able to manage things in the critical spots in the fourth quarter. You can't get a proper inbound. You don't get a good playoff. Like it's like simple things.
Yeah.
How is your team unprepared time and time again? At a certain point, it's not the players, it's the coaching.
Mhm. 100%.
Yeah, so I mean, we saw it with Brett Brown, we saw it with Doc Rivers. Nick Nurse has been the first coach in a very long time beyond Larry Brown where you feel confident that the players are going to be in position, especially late in the game. I'm not saying Nick Nurse is perfect, but I really like the way he was as a coach in Toronto. We
Mhm.
lost to him.
Right.
I remembered us failing against Nick Nurse and how he made really good tactical changes in the critical moments, and our coaching staff did not. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like no matter what sport you talk about, when there are simple, at least the simple adjustments to be made, and somebody's not doing it, how are the onlookers not supposed to be frustrated
Yeah.
about it?
100%. Yeah.
So. Um, all in all, with all that being said, despite the uh, all the screaming and yelling going on, We are 7-2, top seed in the NFC.
Yeah,
So make of that what you will, but to stay on top, you got to get right.
that's right.
So that's my thoughts on it. Anything you want to add into this, man?
Nah, that's pretty much it, man.
All right, with that being said, we appreciate y'all time. Hopefully, you enjoyed this episode as much as we both did, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.